connect my Bluetooth, so just give me one sec.
Yeah.
Uh,
The old connect the Bluetooth.
it should. Okay. Let's try. All right, hold on.
Good morning, all. Good morning, Ernie, Robbie, Rambler, Stephen, Haley. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Pamela, of course.
Good morning.
And of course, we're
I'm
still
trying
being
to
throttled
connect my
by.
Bluetooth.
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah,
Take your
we're
time.
all right. We're
Take your
having
time.
technical difficulties. Can you hear me without?
I can. Do you want to log out and then connect it and log back in? You're welcome to do that too.
Let's see. Let me just see if it picks it back up. Okay, hold on.
Man, guys, we are being throttled so hard. This is wild. I have never seen it at 20. Not even on day one of the podcast. Crazy.
We got it.
Crazy. No, it's still your phone. Oh, you do hear it in your ears?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Now your audio is better. Good job. Look at you, technical.
Okay. I mean, at 49, I still got a little tech in me,
Pamela, you have kids, right?
I do.
How old are they?
They are, I got one that's 19 and one that's 21, both in college. They just started their sophomore year and junior year at school.
You have a worst injury of the kids? Who had the worst injury ever?
I have, you know how like kids are like kind of, well, they're part of your DNA. So they're very part of you. And I'm like a very mild-tempered person. And I had boys like that as well, too. So they were not like crazy rowdy. They were lovers, not fighters, I guess is how I describe them. But with that being said, I was traveling. I worked for a CrossFit Gymnastics headquarters. And I was traveling on a seminar, and we have this little like basketball hoop in the playroom when they were little. And they're not like aggressive kids, but they were having fun, And one of them went to go dunk, and their dad was with them because I was away. And he hit the corner of the wall that like juts out, and just blood gushing down. And he needed 4 staples in his head. What's so crazy? I don't even remember which kid it was. I used to yell at my mom. I used to yell at my mom, like when my kids were little. I was like, "Oh, did I do that?" She's like, "I don't remember. Like, how would I remember?" I'm like, "How do you not remember?" And now, 20 years later, I'm like, I don't know which kid it was. I think it was my younger one. So I was away for the whole trauma, which is a good thing because I don't do well, like as a mom, seeing blood gushing out of my like boy's head. So their dad was really good, very calm about it because he was a wrestler in college. And like he was a little more rough and tumbler, that type of guy. So yeah.
Just stitches? Did he have stitches?
4 staples. They stapled his head.
Right. I've had
nasty, right? Yeah.
Hey, yes. I can't. We're getting a little bit of hiss from your earpieces. I wonder if it's better if we don't use them. How was it for you without them? How was it for you without them?
Oh, it was great.
Okay,
it was fine.
Let's try without them.
Okay.
Thank you. I think they were rubbing on something, but there's like a little bit of a hiss, like glassy echo.
I gotcha. All right, we good?
Yeah, I think that's better. That's better. Maybe the sound isn't as good, but we don't have that little bit of hiss. There's some sort of rubbing. Yesterday morning at the skate park, I think we now have officially our worst accident. My boy broke his shin.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh.
And so my wife didn't sleep last night. First, she took him. We didn't take him to the hospital till late at night, till 8 o'clock. It was like, okay, something's really wrong. So he sat with it for like 10 or 12 hours, and then but every like 30 minutes he screams in agony.
Oh,
I know. I feel so bad for him.
Oh, he's so good. I've been, kind of watching him learn.
Yeah.
So cool. Like my kids were not daredevils like that. Like you gotta like just go for it. And my boys like overthought things, like probably like their mother a little.
Yeah. I feel like relative to the other kids at the skate park, my kids are really cautious.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But man,
that's a tough injury. Ooh.
It was. Thank God I was right there. Yeah, thank God I was right there. I was able to just go down into the bowl, pick him up, carry him out, put him in the car. But I saw he was shaking in the car, and I'm like, "Oh, is he going into shock?" And then I got him home, and he hasn't been the same since. But we took him to the hospital yesterday. Of course, they didn't. They're like, "Hey, do you want to give him some narcotics?" My wife's like, "No, poor
Yeah.
kid. He got like
Oh.
parents who don't believe in that shit. I feel sorry for him."
That's right. Rub a little, like my grandmother, like when my kids were teething, she's like, put a little, like, like whatever, bourbon on your finger, rub it on the gums. It'll be good. We're all good. We
He'd
got through it.
probably he'd probably rather have that. He got the parents instead of like getting Oxycontin, he's probably like getting like essential oils on his neck.
Right.
It's my youngest boy, Robbie. Thanks for asking. It's Ari. And another thing that's kind of hard, but I don't really care about is that he has a jiu-jitsu tournament this weekend, and he's been on a tear. His last 2 tournaments, he's dominated. He was probably going to dominate this one,
Yeah.
but whatever. I just
Yeah.
feel he screamed all night. Every 30 minutes, he screamed. And my other kids, what's interesting is my other kids were grinding their teeth last night in their sleep. I had put them in my bed with me. And I'm sure it's because their brother was, they were crying when they saw their brother got hurt.
So back to my story of
Yeah.
my youngest with the blood, and it was my youngest now who got the staples. My oldest literally like was hyperventilating because he was so
Yes.
nervous about his brother, and
Yes.
he sat with him like all night too. And I was like, damn, that's like awesome love right there. Like that, I feel like that's just innate in your like nature of like care and concern. And I'm like, I love that trait about my boys. They're very they feel, and I love that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, they don't want to leave his side. They jumped up this morning and ran to his bedroom. He slept in his bedroom last night with my wife, and they
Yeah.
jumped up an hour earlier than they normally wake up and just ran in there. Like
Oh,
they wanted to make, yeah, it's crazy.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah.
What do you think about I was watching a couple of your podcasts yesterday, and you were talking about parents who hover, and I got like crazy defensive because like such a hovering parent. Um
Okay.
it's an interesting it's an interesting boy, it's an interesting place to be. I don't and how I know I'm hovering is I'm the only parent who's at all the events, and I have coaches say, "Hey, you need to drop your kids off and leave," and I'm like, "No." You know what I mean? So I sit there with my kids. Um, what do you
So
describe what you mean by hovering? And then
I was gonna say,
let me see if I can wiggle around it.
okay, all right. So this is
And
what
don't
I
worry
meant.
about hurting my feelings at all.
Yeah, no.
I'm yeah. A friend of mine told me that ESPN's shooting a pilot show called Helicopter Dad and that he's nominated me. I said, I'm game. He's all, people are gonna hate you. I'm like, it's fine.
You
I'm
gotta
good.
be who you are at, who you
Yeah, yeah,
are,
I'm good with
right?
it. I'm good with it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my childhood and my experience as a gymnast.
Yeah.
My parents never once said, you should work harder at practice, or sat at my practice, and when we got in the car I was like, well, why'd you do it that way? I saw Shannon do it this way. Or they let me drive my train, and I never felt like I was going to disappoint them if I was like, hey, this sport isn't for me, or if I was just tired and I was like, I don't have it in me to like, stay at practice all day. I've had a really rough day. Now this works for kids probably more like me who are, you know, driven in their own innate nature. So what I mean by hovering is I had friends whose parents would, after the gymnastics meet, be like, they'd inquire in a more, I felt like demeaning way of like, well, I don't understand why, you didn't get a 9.75. What'd you do
Mm,
wrong?
mm.
Instead of just being like, hey, it was so fun watching you. Did you enjoy the experience? And for me, life is about experiences, not the outcome of my like
Mm.
podium win. And
Was it always like that? Was it always like that?
um yes.
Hmm.
And I think that due to my hard work and my attitude of like, no, I want to like figure out how to get this skill. Maybe that's why I coach the way I do, like little details inside the skill, because it brought me to a final destination without even knowing I was gonna get there. It was me more like my mind is really interested in how to break things down more than like the final product of the skill. So can you hear me?
I can totally hear you. I'm just changing your name to put your Instagram on there. That's
Okay.
why I'm
All
moving
right.
around.
So, okay. So if people were to ask, like, was I a hovering parent? I would not say I was a hovering parent. I would say I was a little bit overprotective, or like a nervous parent of like, my kids running through the neighborhood without me knowing where they were. I was like, oh, like don't go up to the white van, like don't fall for the puppy.
You didn't want to impress your parents. I still want to impress my parents. You weren't seeking approval from your parents. I mean, obviously it's much different now, but like I'm really into fruit trees. I'm really into plants, and my parents were really into plants. So when I like have a tree that's like bearing good fruit, like I'm excited to show my parents, like, hey, look, like kind of you taught me this, and you taught me to appreciate this, and look what I've done. I followed in your steps. Like I'm kind of excited for that. You don't have that.
I do, and I
Oh,
think that my parents, though, they were they let me again like kind of like make my own path, and they continually were not like smoke up my ass, but like positively like, I love that this is your passion. How can I support you in this? My mom,
yes. Oh, I love it. Okay. Yep.
like
Yep.
I grew up in Boston, and my mom drove 30 minutes each way to drive me to practice in the dark, cold Boston winters. And like, my dad would miss his golf tournament to come to my gymnastics meet in Maryland, or like, and like, how can I support you? Like, and that to me was them saying, I'm proud of what you're doing. I had very, very supportive parents. I had a really, just honestly beautiful childhood. I very much feel very lucky. My dad was a very like soft, emotional man that I could come to. I never felt that I was going to get yelled at, meaning I felt like it was more like, okay, we fucked up. Like, how are we going to like fix this, or, make it better? And my mom was extremely organized and driven, and I got that from her too. So yes, I did love to please them, but I feel like them allowing me to drive my own train and them supporting me felt like they were proud of me.
How did you meet your husband?
So we are divorced for 2 years, and we were married 21 years. We're still good friends, just kind of went, different directions, but we met clubbing at the Jersey Shore.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah.
Is he like your dad?
Yes and no. I think that's more of like a therapy session.
Well, when I say that because you described how your sons behaved, and you described your dad in a certain way, and I'm wondering, is it like that? Like
If the kids' dads was
like you
like
keep
that.
searching for the same, yeah, like it seemed my mom. It's your son seemed like what my mom wanted to raise me. My mom wanted to raise me as as a gentleman, not a pushover or a weak man, but I don't know what the word is, but I like the way you described your sons, and then in the way you sort of described your dad. And then I was just wondering, like, did you continue that? Like, how do you find a man like that? Did you find a man like that?
Yeah, so the people I think in my life are very open and vulnerable, and allow like emotion to come into their world. So yes, in that way, very much so. And I continue that. Like, I am a very open, vulnerable. I feel like I want to know the depth of my friend, like deep in their soul. That is very important to me. And I have a very small circle, and I think that's why, because um, I really like the depth of a soul more than just like, hey, let's go grab a drink. Like, that's not me. I want to like sit and like have deep conversations about real tough stuff. or interesting stuff, you know?
Were you always like that? Or did you have a something switch?
No, I think I was always like that. I'm an introverted extrovert. So, like, if you were to see me at the CrossFit Games, like talking to people, you'd be like, oh, she's so, extroverted and outgoing. But like, I left at 4 o'clock every day and I just was like, shut the world off, you know? So I like alone time, but I also love people. And,
Mm.
but instead of it fueling me, it drains me. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
that's why being with like one person in a deep conversation, I don't like crowds. Like the games overwhelms me. I feel like I'm floating around and untethered, and everybody else is tethered. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. What month are you born?
June 25th is my birthday. What do
Mm.
you think?
I don't know. I don't know that stuff, but
Me neither.
but I always wonder. I look for kind of connections or correlations like that. I really 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 love people and enjoy people. I really like being alone.
Yeah.
I really don't want to be. I'm really comfortable just outside walking by myself, just chilling.
Were you like that as a kid too?
Yeah, my mom always said like it didn't even matter. You could give me like a bag of rubber bands and I would play with them for hours. I didn't need, but I like people. I'm not. But I'm not really interested in. I, I'm very very content being by myself, just my wife or my kids, or just even by myself. I don't get as much alone time as probably I need. Um, but my kids are such good mirrors of me that it's kind of like I'm alone.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? I love how like that works. Like my kids and I, we get each other because we are a lot alike in many, many ways. And we have a lot of things we like to do together. We all play guitar. We
Two
love
years.
CrossFit.
You got 2 years of guitar now, huh? Good
I
job.
do.
Yeah, good job.
I love it. Oh, like love.
You weren't
My
scared? You weren't scared? You sucked at music and then you picked up a guitar at 47?
um
How'd you have
my
time for that?
so I it
Oh,
was
you got
right.
rid of your husband and picked up a guitar. Holy shit. Kinda, right?
I mean, you tend to like try to fill your space with other things, right? No.
Yeah.
So it was during COVID, I was going batshit crazy. I don't sit well. And that was the toughest year of my life. Or not toughest, but it was a tough year of my life. And my boys,
Aren't you in Cookeville? Did Mayhem do you're not in Cookeville?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. You should have
Yep.
gone to Cookeville. I don't think they did COVID there.
I know, you're right. I have to say, like, my gym opened up, fairly quickly, but I still didn't know anything about COVID. And my dad, is older. He lives here. Like, I I feel very differently now about it than I did then. And I think
You were freaked out a little bit in the beginning.
yeah, like I just think education is key, and also not opinionated education. I don't have cable news. I don't have I actually don't have cable. I don't listen. I like science. Like facts. So anyway, was I terrified? Yes, my children. So music is like fuel to my soul. Like I have music on. It's either I rarely have TV on, meaning like Netflix or something. It's music probably 90% of the day. And I was so jealous of watching my boys just play for me. And I was like, gosh, I need to learn this. Like, and my last experience with learning an instrument was fourth grade, the violin. And this is what happened. This is the best story ever. So I'm practicing upstairs, and my mom's like friends are over, and my mom she passed away 6 years ago of brain cancer, but I hear her voice saying this, and she's telling this story, and she goes, Ellie was over, and we were sitting in the kitchen, and Ellie goes, what the hell is that noise? And she goes, oh gosh, that's my daughter practicing violin. That's like how bad I was at music. No ear for it, none. So that was my last experience. So I said to my boys, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to play the guitar. I have not one musical bone in my body. And they're like, nope, you're going to do it. And so I went, bought a guitar, like, a beginner guitar. And my boys sat there with me while my fingers like bled, no calluses. And they're like, practice the D string for 10 minutes. Like they'd set a timer. And I'm like, all right. And then they're like, okay, now I want you to go A, D, A, D, A, D. And 3 months, they sat there just patiently working with me. And I actually teared up a few times because I was like, it's not worth it. I'm not going to do it. And my youngest son, Leo, goes, Mom, I was there. You're going to get over the hump. Come on, you got this. And like literally, they like were my cheerleaders. And then it clicked. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like I can do AD, And then they're like, all right, we're going to introduce E to you, And it finally, like each increment, I felt like
Do you own your own guitar? Did you own your own guitar?
Yep. Yep. Dang. And so I think my children, and they were, I don't know, 17 and 19 at the time. I think that they were the catalyst to me not giving up. Because they were like, no, we sucked too. Like it was terrible. And I was like, I don't remember that. I just remember you like now, So I got over that hump, and then about maybe 6 months into it, I needed lessons. Like I just, and they went off to college and all that, or school. And then I started taking lessons from this amazing guitar teacher, Dave. And again, it's not just a lesson. It's like we've gotten to know each other on like a really great personal level. And it's the brightest part of my week, like going to take lessons with Dave.
That doesn't annoy you? That doesn't annoy you? Like he starts talking about stuff that's not music related, or you start talking to him and you're like, no, we're here to work. Quiet.
No, because I think it makes our music that we make together even better.
All right.
Yeah.
Sometimes my kids and their instructors will start talking, and like 20 minutes will pass. I'll be like, yo, listen, I'm paying you $100 to chat my kid up.
I do get that with my kids when they were little, like basketball practice, that I was like, why are they not like doing anything? I don't understand what's going on, So yes, I get that from like that perspective for sure. But I love guitar. I'm not good at it, and I'm okay. It took me a long time to be okay not being good at something I work really hard at, but I'm getting better.
Can you pronounce your last name for me?
Yeah, it's Gagnon.
Gagnon. Formerly known as, in some circles, still known as Pammy, not Pam. A lot of people say Pamela, but the true way would be to say it sort of like your Latin. You prefer the Latin pronunciation, which you don't get enough of. Pamela.
Pamela. When I go
Pamela.
I have a few friends who,
Pamela
are Colombian or like speak Spanish, and that Pamela, it's like
Pamela.
The best.
Pamela, how's my shoulder position, Pamela? Pamela, so for those of you who don't know her as a mom guitar player and dweller in the Carolinas, she is also a 3 times games athlete. I know her from Instagram. I've been talking about her for years. This is a crazy, crazy cool Instagram account. I don't think I say that very often about people's Instagram accounts. She is the gymnastics expert over with Mayhem. Is that fair to say? She works with CrossFit Mayhem. I don't think like many of us who are around Fitty, I don't think she expected her life to be like this. There was no such thing as CrossFit when she was growing up, and now she probably has fallen into some sort of dream world where she gets to move her body around and hang out with really cool people who want to move their bodies around. I'm telling you, this Instagram account is crazy. You have to get lost on this. You have to make this your favorites. This is the one for those of you who don't know how to subscribe and get all notifications. This is that kind of account. You want to see Pamela, and you want to spend 30 seconds watching these videos every day, because you will just learn from watching them and hear her talk. All the pieces are there. You're going to be inspired. You're going to learn, but you're also going to have some sort of experience where you see something she does, and you're just going to learn it just from watching. You're an incredible teacher, man. And
Thank
thank
you
you for
so
your
much.
gift. Yeah. Yeah. You're providing crazy stuff.
Thank you. That means a lot. That means a lot.
Just
You know,
sorry, real quick here. Heidi, I was thinking that too. Private lessons with Dave, a little guitar, and that's totally what I was thinking. I'm just saying.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you. That means a lot. I was a 4th and 6th grade teacher as well.
Oh.
Yeah. That's when I graduated Rutgers University, went to grad school at Penn for my master's in education, and taught for 5 years before really kind of, my kids were really young when I stopped teaching. But I think my mom was a teacher, my sister was a teacher. I think that we just have that in our genes. And my
And
favorite
you're still a teacher.
I know. I love that. Like, I think my favorite students are the ones who come to me that I have a story when I taught 4th grade. You know, we sit down at the end of the year with the 3rd grade teachers, and we divvy up the kids, you know, and they're like, oh, you got Ryan. Good luck with that one. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, he's such a troublemaker. And I'm like, he was my favorite student that next year. Ryan just needed like somebody to just understand what made him tick. And he was really into Pokemon. This is a true story. And so everything we did, writing, math, it was related to his Pokemon. I was like, tell me more. Who's your favorite character? What do they do? And like, kids who are troublemakers just need to be loved a little bit differently, you know?
You sound like my wife.
Yeah. And it was like, gosh, he's just struggling. He has trouble learning, and he's just brushed to the side, and he's, and he was my favorite student. And same here, like I have like 10 private lessons that come to my garage, athletes that, some are games athletes, and most are just wanting to age stronger. And I have an athlete who lost, 70 pounds, and she came to me and said, I just want to learn a strict pull-up, like one. I just want to be able to do one in my life. And
Great goal.
Isn't it?
Great goal. Fuck, it's so good to do one pull-up. I love it. My mom got a pull-up like in 70 or some shit.
No way.
Yeah, crazy. Great goal. Change your whole life.
Yeah, and it's not more about the pull-up, it's about the journey to it. Like believing, that she's like, no way I'm gonna ever get a pull-up. I'm like, no, we're gonna work every step of the way, and just, she's halfway there, and now she can pull, like bend, hang and bend just like a quarter of the way. And she was like mind blown that she's even made that progress, And so it's more like, how can we relate this? And that's how I teach my drills. Like, it's not about the handstand. It's about like, if I apply small steps to anything I want to do in life, then it's doable and it's not overwhelming. And like, that's how I approach all my drills too.
I'm going to take this a little bit of a different direction here, but bear with me here. There's this book called Siddhartha. It was written by a guy named Hermann Hesse, and it's the story of, you could say it's a story of the Buddha. And one of the things Hesse says, the character in there, Siddhartha says, is he says, I can breathe and I can fast. And breathing, we know what breathing is, and meditation is just awareness, just being aware, whether it's being aware of your thoughts or being aware of the outside, but it's like not on autopilot. It's basically being still, right? Like the way the bug stays still. And then of course, fasting is watching your need for consumption of food and realizing maybe you don't need food, just watching it. And when I was a kid, I'm going back to the parenting thing. When I was a kid, almost my entire identity was fabricated, meaning I was given the name Sevan. I was told I was Armenian. I was the kid who always had money in his pocket and could like buy video games for the other kids. It was all just superficial or made up shit. And I don't say that in a derogatory way, but I didn't earn anything that was my identity. I didn't really earn anything. And then when I was 20 and I was on ecstasy in my backyard one time in college, I had a friend who was way into bodybuilding. He was on steroids and always on meth and just crazy wound up dude. And he was doing a pull up, and we're in the backyard high on drugs. And I'm like, oh, I've always wanted to do a pull up. And he said, it's not a pull up. It's a misnomer. It's a contraction of the back. I'm like, the contraction of the back. And he goes, go ahead and hang from that branch. And I was probably 20 pounds lighter than I normally was because I was high on so many drugs for like a month. And he squeezed my lats and he said, flex that muscle. And I was high. I was on Molly, on ecstasy, and I was able to just go in there and contract that. And when I contracted that muscle, my whole body moved up into the air.
Wow.
While he squeezed my lats. Yeah. Going back to kids, when I took my Avi to do jiu-jitsu, he refused to go on the mat. He refused to do jiu-jitsu for the first 3 months, 3 days a week. It's a 30-minute drive there and an hour back in traffic. And I took him 3 days a week for 3 months before he would do it. And I would say, hey, you don't have to do it, but you have to sit on the mat. And his response to me was like, I don't want to touch strangers. And I would say to him, you know what? Great fucking job. I don't want to touch strangers either. I don't know how you're going to get over that because I don't want to touch strangers either, but you got to sit on the mat. After 3 months, his instructor comes up to him and goes, hey, did you know Batman does jiu-jitsu? And he's like, no shit. So since then, he's been doing jiu-jitsu in the martial arts 5 to 7 days a week for the last 3 or 4 years. Wow. My son has and then he gets belts and stuff, right? And he goes to tournaments and he has to win and lose against other kids. And now my son has an identity that I didn't get that's based in his physicality and not some made up bullshit. I'm Armenian. I'm fucking white. My dad's a podcast. Like it's something in his, it's something he has. It's like a woman who could make a basket. All of a sudden, like, you have value. You can make a fucking basket. You have value. You can defend yourself. And so I keep my kids, I'm going back to the hovering thing, but this identity thing, but this thing that you said also about a goal of having to pull up your whole, these are real things. Like, you shouldn't be choosing your identity. You should be fucking earning it. Yeah. Can you make a good peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Well, then you've earned that. But the more things I think that you can do, and that's why Siddhartha and the Buddha was so amazing, because his identity was in like some really rudimentary things. I can breathe. Most people have given up that. They're on autopilot, right? Mm-hmm. But you're rooted in your teaching now in something that's so deep, putting people upside down, going into themselves at this. They think they're doing gymnastics. They think they're doing CrossFit. But really they're having in my mind, what I see, and I believe is very true, a spiritual progression, because they're becoming more, they're putting that energy inward. Does any of that kind of, I know that's a kind of a big kind of canvas, but does any of that, resonate with you?
It does. Very much so. Yes. And I think the reason I was able to become a collegiate gymnast and then start 2 businesses. I had a promotional apparel business for a decade before I started Performance Plus.
What was that? The promotional apparel business. What was that?
I self-taught myself graphic design on Adobe Illustrator, and awesome. I did stuff like this, like business stuff and then on apparel. So I had never done a purchase order, invoice, nothing. All this was so new to me. And the reason I feel like I was able to start these businesses and believe in myself is because I went through all those experiences as a gymnast at a very young age. And I so many times came home with bloody hands. My feet would ache in bed. I will never forget that as a child, because I'd been pounding on them from tumbling and the beam and oh my God, flipping backwards on a 4-inch beam, and just knowing you gotta self-talk yourself into fuck yeah, I got this, and you can't waver. And I think that yes, I was a gymnast, but the ultimate thing was it taught me to believe in myself, that I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna suck, and then I'm gonna learn from it, and then I'm gonna continue on that journey. And that is why, like I said, that pull-up, that I teach that woman who lost 70 pounds is more than a pull-up. So I really do believe it's much more of it's much deeper in your rooted into your life than the actual skill.
She completed the impossible.
Yes. Yeah, for her. Yeah.
Greg Glassman has said that to me a lot. He says he used to say it to me once a year, and now he's been saying it to me like once a month. He says to me what you just said. He says, "I I took more from gymnastics than any human being alive." But he didn't. But he's kind of being sly saying that because he didn't win the gold medal. He didn't get a college scholarship. But he describes it the same way you did. So brutally hard and just fucked up, and the injuries and that he's like, man, I just took so much away from it.
Yep. And you know what? Also, like, gymnastics it's an individual sport until you really get to college. But even as an individual sport, I was there like with rips on my hands with my teammates, even growing up, and we were there just like, all right, I know this hurts, but here's how I got through it, or here's my, extra hand stuff to fix your grip. Like, we were there for each other, or like, if a coach yelled at you, you're like, we giggled about it. Like, we shared that experience, and that also really helped me, even though it was an individual sport, just be more compassionate to other people as well too, going through stuff.
If you would have looked at your life 20 years ago, would you have ever thought that you'd be doing what you're doing now?
Never.
Yeah.
Ever, ever, ever. I never imagined. I wake up pinching myself, and that's, I'm not exaggerating, that how the heck did I get here? And I'm able to support myself and my kids through college to do something I love. And if you were to be like, oh, you're going to make money teaching people pull-ups and handstands, I'd be like, that's the biggest fucking joke ever,
Right.
And I'm like, how did I do this? And I think when I answer that, I think it's because I care a lot about people. And I am definitely one of those people who like feel other people's emotions and feelings, and I am super passionate about my athlete walking out of my garage feeling a little bit more confident about themselves, and I say to them, like, listen, if you're not close to skill, I'm not going to be like, you're almost there. I'll be like, no, let's work on this. You've improved this, and I did that as a teacher too. It was always like, okay, one thing you're doing well, and two things we're going to work on, because you lose your credibility if you're always like, fantastic, that was great, that was perfect. What is perfect? There's no perfect, so I still honestly cannot believe that this is what I get to do. I just feel really lucky. I do.
When you say you care, could you help me with that? What that word means? CARE, care.
Yeah.
Did I spell that right?
Yeah.
Good.
It's like my Jersey accent coming out.
Well, I'm just not a good speller. I just want to make sure I didn't make a fool of myself. Stephen Flores, the best coaches are the ones who don't do it for the money, but for the pure joy of our athletes. Yeah. Can you even give me an example, or what do you mean by care?
Okay, wait, before care, I wanna address like that, what Stephen just said.
Money.
Yeah, so Zach, my business partner, Dr. Zach Long, he's at the Barbell Physio is his Instagram. He lives in Charlotte, and he's a doctor of PT. And a friend connected me to him when I was training for the games. And he was like, hey, we started talking. He's like, what do you think? There's nothing out there that would connect gymnastic skills and PT together, because you have to be mobile to do handstands, and you can't have hurt hips to do pistols and all this. And he's like, would you be interested in putting some stuff out there? And I'm like, yes. And I remember our first meeting of Performance Plus, and we sat down and we're like, listen, if we can just help 5 people a month, maybe we make $500 each, right? That's like Pishka money, right? Like, we're helping 5 people.
Are you Jewish?
Yeah.
What's Pishka mean? Is that something? Is that Yiddish or Hebrew?
I think it's Yiddish. I don't know.
Yiddish.
Like,
oh, look at you, Pishka. I just knew as soon as I heard that, Pishka.
I think it means just like little, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I like that. Yeah, only Jews can get away with that. Armenians had do that too.
Yeah. Like my dad
okay.
grew up like in his house speaking Yiddish because he lived with his grandparents.
Wow, in the United States?
Yep, in Boston. Mm-hmm.
Was your husband Jewish?
He was part Jewish. How's that sound?
Were your parents disappointed that you married him?
No, they liked it. No, we did raise our kids Jewish, but I am not religious at all. Like I am Jewish of birth, but I am I'm more spiritual than anything. I'm not religious.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Sorry, I got distracted. Okay, so $500 a month. Would
So
shit, my keyboard stopped working.
And
sorry, I had a temper tantrum. Sorry.
No problem. And like Zach he has a clinic. I was working for CrossFit headquarters and had my promotional apparel business. We were not doing this to build a business. We were doing this like we have knowledge and we want to share it. Like, why would we keep this to ourselves, you know? And so we didn't ever think this would become a full-time business, you know? And I remember like
What year, Pamela? Pamela?
You can
Pamela?
2016.
Okay.
And maybe about 3 years later, he's like, I think we need to treat this as a real business. Like we had nothing. We didn't even have like an accountant. We were doing the, stuff ourselves. Like, well, maybe we should hire someone to help us with like the IT. I mean, it wasn't about the business. And so I wanted to say that is very true. I do feel like a lot of people start like, all right, I got to make, 6 figures year one or it's not successful. No, just like put your knowledge out there and see like what it attracts, Okay, but back to care.
Care, yeah.
But
you have to make, did you do a lot of stuff for free in the beginning?
Oh, yeah.
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 It's weird. I have people around me who are only interested in money and I'm only interested in money, but I always do everything for free. And I can't really figure out how to explain to them that like, I'm never focused on the money. None of those sponsors came because I approached them and asked them for money.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I really like money and you need the money and you have to know your value. It's so tricky, right? We'll come back to that. Okay, care.
It is tricky. It is. Yeah, let's come back to that because I got something to say about that. This is also my brain, like 400 thoughts, and I touch upon each one, and then I'm like, oh shoot, we gotta go back to this one. Okay, so care. Just I genuinely, I'm an empath to the nth degree, and I think that it's I love that about myself. It also has gotten me into a little bit of, I guess, empaths can be, maybe like, I'm not saying used, but I can be taken advantage of because I just want the better for somebody else. And I put my needs probably last. And I've done a lot of therapy in the last 6-7 years on that. And I feel like I'm definitely improving a huge amount. But care,
like with the therapist, like where you sit in a chair and like they're like, "Hello, Pamela."
Pamela.
I'm starting the egg timer. You have an hour. Tell me.
Yeah.
Like that? You did that kind of therapy for 7 years?
I've had probably 4 therapists over the last 7 years, 4 or 5.
Wow.
Yeah. To me, it's about mindfulness, like shifting my mindset of like, you can be an empath and also set boundaries, and you can be in a beautiful home with a roof over your head and also be sad. And like, I didn't really ever realize that these dichotomies could exist together. And so it's more learning how to reframe my thinking. And yes, some I sat on a couch, but some was like, through a Zoom. I've had some therapists that live in Montana, and she's not a clinical therapist. She's a mind coach, and that to me is therapy too. So yeah, so the care is the empathic side of me that I really genuinely, if you are coming to me in my life, feel that I want you to leave feeling better about yourself, that I've been able to put something positive into your life. And I always tell my kids, like, for me, I want to live my life where when I pass away, what am I leaving behind, as somebody would say, like, what would someone say about me? How would they describe me? And to me, that, like, she loved hard, she cared, she was knowledgeable, she failed, and then she came back stronger, and was there for her children in any way possible. So for me, it's what legacy am I leaving behind, and what lessons can I leave somebody? And I take that from my grandparents. You know, I think that that's who they were too. And they like my grandfather, he was a sales, he was in sales, and gosh, he didn't meet one person he didn't love and leave a smile, and treated the garbage man as just as respectful as the CEO of, Costco,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Westerland says, Pammy's wonderful. In my 2 years writing CrossFit Training's IG page, I regularly featured her content. It's always good. It is always good.
Thank you. That means a lot. It really does. I sit
Do you
in
know
my
him?
garage.
Do you know Joe Westerland?
I don't know. I don't think I do. And if I do, I'm sorry, Joe. I'm
That's
really
okay.
bad at names.
He's
really
amazing. He's probably Greg Glassman told me he's one of the best 5 trainers ever to walk planet Earth.
Oh,
Amazing
nice.
guy. Yeah, I met him. I don't know, when I first started CrossFit. He was a strength and conditioning coach at some big school in Omaha or Nebraska or something like that. But yeah. Anyway, I'm not sure. Do you remember Libby DiBiase from like the 2008 CrossFit Games? Does that know?
No, I started CrossFit in 2010.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
2010.
Yeah, like right, maybe like September of 2010, and then the first open was like that January, February.
Your job is that your so you have 2 jobs with Mayhem and Performance Plus?
Yes.
But you live in where did you say again? North Carolina?
Yeah, I'm in Charlotte for the last 23 years, probably.
Ever been tempted to move to Cookeville?
It's funny. I've like always looked at, like, little like fixer-uppers to just get like a place where when I go, because I go about probably like every 8 weeks, I'll go up there, whether I'm filming or working with Train with Rich, or, during the games, I went up to work with some athletes as well too, right before the games. But
is it drive or fly for you? How far
it's a 5-hour drive west, straight west, and it's beautiful. It's through the mountains of Asheville, and I love it. I love to drive.
What do you drive?
What do I drive? This is so funny. So I just got a Subaru Crosstrek, and it took me a long time to buy a Subaru because I was like, I'm so not like a tree, like, Subaru has this like Vermont like feel, and I'm like, I don't really think that's me. Like, I love this car. It's amazing. So,
I mean, they sell a lot of them for a reason. It's like McDonald's hamburgers. You could poo-poo them, but dude, like, they sold 1 billion or 2 billion. Like, something's right with them. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. And are you a good driver?
I think I'm a very good driver. I am a safely aggressive driver. So
okay. If you were just gonna say safe, I was gonna be like, oh, you suck. I'm just gonna tell you. But you're aggressive. Aggressive drivers are good drivers. Okay.
I learned. I got my license. I grew up right outside of Boston, so you can imagine.
You can parallel park pretty good?
Oh, the bomb.
Okay.
Oh,
All
yeah.
Right. All right.
I could get probably an award for my parallel parking. I'm just saying. So 4 years at Rutgers University, I lived like on this busy street, and I would fit my car. I would put practical bumper cars. I'm like, I am getting in that spot because it was very hard to find parking. So
people would be impressed. You've had people be like, damn, Pamela, you got in that spot. Yep. You're a good driver. Yeah.
You too, good parallel parker?
Dude, that I will be like, I just look for a spot that someone in the car will be like, you won't fit there. I'm like,
I love that. Me too.
Game on.
Do you
Let's
drive
do
a big car though because of all your kids?
it. Van. No, I drive a small minivan. It's tiny. It's you could stick it in anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, someone clip that. You can stick it in anywhere.
Do you like the minivan? Or you
I
feel
love it. I wanted one before I had kids, and my wife was like,
Oh.
"Are you?" And my wife's like, accept anything." But I couldn't even believe it when I mentioned minivan. She's like, "Are you crazy?" I'm like, "No, I could put so much camera gear in there. It would be like how maybe you might like it too, because like you have just gymnastic shit you want to haul around, and I love bringing just camera gear around, bags and of just full of shit, tripods and lenses. I'm like, no, dude, a van's a dream car.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I had trouble with my minivan, I have to admit, because I was a young mom and I felt really like, I don't want to like not be like hip or, like,
Yeah.
because I mean, I'm 49, right? I still like flip around. Like I like to stay mindfully young, and I was like, the minivan, it's sending me into the next like quantum leap of like life. No, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
But my minivan I had for like 5 years, and I gotta say, having kids, it was phenomenal. But I did get rid of it.
And mine's so dirty. Was yours dirty? Mine's
I am
so dirty.
Excessively clean with my cars.
Oh, yeah, mine's so dirty. Would you let your kids eat in there?
Oh yeah, but I vacuum like every single time I pulled up. Like I had a vacuum.
Wow.
I had a dustbuster right in my garage, and I'd run the dustbuster. So let me tell you about my car, my closet, my home. I like to go into my car, like put my clothes away and feel just calmness. I need that in my life because I can get very high strung, and so I need calm in my life, and I need people in my life to settle me down too. And so that is why I keep things really clean and neat. I also find it therapeutic of cleaning.
Yeah. My wife does too.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I love doing the wash, and she likes folding. It's like we're a match made in heaven. I'm like, you really like folding? She goes, yeah, it just gives me peace. I'm like, wow.
My boys, like when we were packing for college and stuff, they kind of try and fold their clothes, and I'm like,
yeah.
Then they give me some t-shirts and I fold it, and it'd be like super, super smooth. And they're like, how do you do that? Like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I be such a good folder? I was like, practice, son, practice. It'll come.
The art of folding. I did not think this is going to be part of our conversation today. Sometimes I think about what would happen if my wife left me or if she died. And I think I would just become a monk. Like I have no interest in I would have no interest re-engaging with another human on the level that I've engaged with her. I'm not like, it wouldn't be like out of respect for her or anything like that. I just can't fucking imagine in a million years re-engaging. Do you plan on re-engaging with someone on that level?
Yeah, so I'm gonna challenge you on that.
Okay. Yeah, and it's easy for me to say I'm not in that position. But
so my parents were married 49 years when my mom passed away of brain cancer, and she was the love of my dad's life. And the pillar, really, of our family. And my dad said, until you're in my shoes, you will never know what it feels like to have lost somebody who you love so much. But I can't stop my life. I have to go travel. I have to feel love again, And he said, people judge me. People say, oh, it's too soon, or you didn't grieve enough. And he's like, fuck that. You aren't here every single day in my shoes, in my life, in my mind and heart, And because you move forward doesn't take away the experiences and love you had for anybody in your life, for him. And for me, my dad and I have shared a lot the last 2 years. We've become even closer, and he's...
How long ago did you say your mom passed?
6 years. 6 years. this month actually, or August, 6 years August. So we all go to the cemetery together every year.
Wow.
My sister and we all live like within 5 minutes of each other now. My parents moved down here before my mom got sick, but we go to the cemetery. My dad says Kaddish, and my sister and I just sit there.
More Jewish stuff? Kaddish, Pishka, Kaddish? Okay, Kaddish.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
keyboard stopped working, so it's crazy, so I can't look up these words. I'll look them up later. Kaddish.
Kaddish is a prayer you do once a year for those who pass. And
Okay.
if you read the English transliteration of it, it's just basically brings them close to your heart. And so for me, I'm not religious. I feel that when I remember things or talk about my mom, it brings me closer to her in my heart and my memories. And so for me, that's my religion, right? My how I bring those thoughts into my own soul,
Okay.
So when so my dad and I have shared a lot of loss and experiences because while like I'm very close to my children's father, it's still a loss, right? You're married 21 years, and so but it doesn't take away the great experiences I had with him. That yes, I'm a lover. Like I am meant to be with somebody to share experiences with. I just know that's who I am. And I will take the time to make sure I find the person that brings care, compassion, vulnerability, fun, laughter. I love playing, like I'm playful. And that takes time, but I don't want to be alone. Can I be alone? Yeah. I've spent a lot of fucking time alone the last 2 years. And it's painful and it's growth and it's important. But I love what my dad and mom had. And my dad now has an amazing, wonderful woman in his life. He'll never remarry, but he's able to share experiences with somebody. And I love that. I would never want him to sit home alone or have to travel alone. If he didn't want to. There are people that love that are the lone wolf, that enjoy their own company so much that they don't need to share experiences. But I challenge somebody, until you are in that situation, you don't know how it's going to feel or what you'll need,
Fair. Totally fair.
Mm-hmm.
Totally fair. You can't I can't imagine losing her. I can't imagine.
I hope you never have to.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, even I would tolerate just so much before I lost her. I mean,
Right.
but once again, like it's easy to say. Easy to say. And part of it is superficial. It's just like I've just put in so much work. It's like these people. Let's say you're in a relationship for 10 years with a friend and they do something to piss you off, right? Like they steal from you, or I don't know, they slept with your husband or something. And then these people are so quick to throw the relationship away. I'm like, dude, let's do the math here a second. They stole $1,000 from you. You have 10 years into the relationship. It's 10 cents a day, dude. I'm not throwing that. I'm not throwing that. I'm having a talk with them. I'm not throwing it away. I'm not throwing it away. I'm gonna like, but I also value relationships a shitload, even the ones that go sideways, because I don't. There's this conventional wisdom that's like, if someone does you bad, make space from them, whatever. I want to be able to. The people who've done the worst things to me, I still want to, or that I've done the worst things to, I'd like to still see how our story plays out. I don't want to run from it. I don't want to.
I'm very much like you.
Yeah, I'm not interested in running away, and I don't want to hold a grudge against anyone, pretty much no matter what.
That is me to a T.
Unless it has to do with my kids, then it's go nuclear.
I think too, the people in my life, even the ones that I thought were capable of meeting me here, right in the middle, and maybe never were able to show up in that way, they've gifted me a lot. And I'm not an angry person. I'm rarely ever angry. I get more like, it's okay that they gave me all they had, and that's okay. It gifted me something else, right?
Right. You
Yeah.
went to go get pants and you ended up with a shirt and you're not pissed off. You can appreciate a shirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Such a good analogy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But relationships.
Hey, you got to be pretty present. You got to be pretty present for that shit. Most people, that's like 3-year-old. That's like 3-year-old shit that people never get past, right? You think you're going to get a chocolate ice cream cone, you get vanilla and you throw a temper tantrum. You're like, dude, like in 3 seconds, you're going to taste that vanilla cone and forget that you ever wanted chocolate. Like what? But 3-year-old can't get past that.
Yeah. It takes a lot of inward, like, insight and work. And like, I know I know my shortcomings, and nobody's going to have everything, right? But like, so like, there's always two people in a friendship, relationship, right? Even parent-child. And you each have to own your part in it, Like, to my kids, sometimes I get short, right? We're human. And I don't like that about myself. I don't like when my kids do something and I'm like, oh, okay, I get really short. And I will sit them down, like, I'll wait a little bit and we'll talk about it. I'll be like, hey, that's on me. I got short because I didn't stop to breathe and think. And I apologize for that, and I think that's why my kids come to me literally for anything and everything. I mean, there is not one topic that they cannot come to me or have come to me that I would ever judge, not listen, and also hopefully have good advice, because I've lived 49 years and they've only lived 20, But yeah, in relationships, in every type of relationship, there's two people. There's two people contributing, and if you can own your side of it, gosh, what growth and gift that is to somebody else.
If you could own your side of it. Can you phrase it? Can you phrase that differently or give an example? Because I think I know what that means.
Yeah. So like, I don't know, just in general, right? Like, divorce a lot is looked as like, oh, you failed. Right. And that was a really hard thing for me to say. No, I owned up why we didn't work together, as two people. And I learned from it. I didn't fail at it. I actually learned from it. And, I think that I looked at it more as like, I gifted that to myself more than it was a punishment.
Gifted what?
Gifted the knowledge of my part in who I am. And learning about, like, okay, how can I do better at this? Looking inward, right? Looking at, like, all the things I needed to just be honest with myself about, Like, I can't fix somebody. I can't love you enough to make you happy. I can support you and be by your side, but that's your journey,
Yeah. Somewhere along the way, early in my relationship with my wife, we understood explicitly and implicitly to each other that at the end of the day, we're each responsible for our own happiness. And thank God, like, none of us do crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hit her. She's not a drug addict. I mean, like, we don't have like these. I can't be like, well, she's doing heroin in the kitchen with the kids, but like, I'm still responsible for my happiness. It's not. There's.
Yes.
Has to be some.
A healthy boundary of
a healthy boundary, but like, yeah, you can't be You can't be in fighting. They call it feints. You know, like when like you're in a relationship with someone and they give you moods and you keep reacting to the moods and it leads to the same like fights you have over and over. And at one point you have to be like, hey, that person might be doing that, but I can stop and change my reaction to it to maybe change how this plays out. You know what I mean? And each person's like kind of trying to help the other person by not, even if she's right every single time that I'm over the top, like I come home and I see shoes in the entryway and I start kicking them and throwing a temper tantrum, even if she knows that's totally inappropriate, she can be like, okay, I'm going to like change instead of telling them stop getting angry, I'm going to change my response and like go in and hug them. Like, even if it's, you work, you're trying to change the goal isn't to win. The goal is to like get through it, make it so we're not playing this, running our heads into that same wall over and over and over. Change our story together a little bit, right?
Yep.
And I think that's how I was interpreting what you said when you said, how did you phrase it? I interpret it as basically every person's responsible for their own happiness, but yeah. Okay. So I'm understanding you.
Yeah, you are understanding me. Like, like teammates, right? You want to be a teammate in life. Like, oh, I got you. You're having trouble with that play. Like,
blaming someone else is like the last thing you want to do. It's like fucking last resort.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you. You have to quit doing heroin in the kitchen. Like, now you're blaming them, but it's like you've reached your limit.
That's
you just
right.
I can't get past that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, humans are interesting. It's just, I think as I get older and meet different people from different walks of life, like, moving from the north to the south, very different environment, I've just embraced like everybody's like, just like listening, like traveling too. I've traveled out of the country quite a bit, and it just brings you more awareness of like, I think it brings you more love and compassion for different people the more you learn how different everybody is, instead of like judging and just like listen and learn. Like, that's my best advice for anything, like in the gym, for my kids, just like go in without trying to mold it the way you want it. Just go in and see, just listen, learn from it.
When I first, I don't think it was around 2010 or 11 or something, but when I first started having the opportunity to film with Rich or hang out with Rich at the games, there would be these times where like, him and like 3 other guys, even at the games, they'd be like, hey, let's pray before we go out on the floor. And they'd be like, Sevan, come here. And I would pray with them. But I didn't pray. I'm not a Christian. But I really enjoyed being included in that. Do they, what? Say that again?
Oh, no, yeah. I didn't say anything. I said, yeah.
Oh, but you're saying you're not religious, but you hang out with all these religious people. Do you enjoy that?
So,
I enjoy I'm not religious either, but I fucking enjoy religious people for some reason. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think, I have learned so much being in the South and just listening to, other people, what helps other people fuel them. And just because it doesn't fuel me, like, I think like they might say God and I might say universe, right? I might say like my mindfulness and they might say my prayer. It's just honestly, to me, it's just another word for what we're all trying to do. And that's just find peace and happiness. And we do, like, they do pray, and they have, biblical music or religious music playing the whole weekend. And I'm probably the only Jewish person that's ever like worked there.
Oh yeah. My wife's been there a few times. She's Jewish, but she didn't work there. You're right.
Yeah. And they love me and welcome me with open arms and don't judge me. And, like, that's what I love. I feel like family no matter what. You know why? Because we're good people. They're good people. They care. They want the best for you. And those are the people I love. You can pray to Buddha, you can pray to the universe, you can, whatever fuels you, I respect that. It doesn't mean I have to do it. You know what I have to do? I have to like be a really good fucking human too. That's my job. Mm-hmm.
You said that in a podcast I listened to, or an interview I listened to, that the more flexible you are, the less likely you are to have injury. And
Mhm.
I don't care whether that's true or not. I believe you, like 100%. Like, I get it. Like, you sit on the back of an elephant and you can't get your legs around it, like we've seen people do, you're fucked. And people are gonna be like, well, what if you're too stretchy? What if you're too stretchy? Shut the fuck up. Like, that, you're quiet. You're not part of, go somewhere else. I'm not worried about those people. And I am a too stretchy person. I did injure myself because I'm too flexible. But I believe what you said. What is the most change you ever seen in someone? I have this 8-year-old son who is wound up so very calm kid, chill, pleasant, well behaved, but his body is wound up so tight. His back is so tight. His brothers can do it all. Splits and wrap their legs around their head, and they can do it all. Anything, they're contortionists. But their brother is so tight, and he stretches every night by himself, 15 minutes every night. And I don't see him getting any more limber. He walks around like this. You know what I mean? Just all, it's crazy. What, does he have any hope? Like, could he wants to do the splits so bad. He can't even do, like, I'm more limber than him. Everyone's more limber than him. Does he have any hope?
He does have hope. And you are describing my oldest and youngest to a T.
Okay.
Oh my God.
My kids are like Gumby. I'm serious. Like, I could take one's head and shove it up his ass. He'd be like, yeah, but perfect. I mean, it's crazy.
My oldest is the tightest human I've ever met. And my youngest is like me, like Gumby, right? Yeah. So my oldest is really into CrossFit. He's probably about 4 years in. And when he first started.
That's the tight one? That's the tight one?
That's the tight one.
Yeah, my tight one is physically just, he wants to do it all. He's ready to deadlift 1,000 pounds. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So when he first started, he could not overhead squat at all, like at all.
Right. Same
and he is definitely of my DNA, where it's like, once he gets into something, he's like, I'm going to work hard at it. And he was so frustrated that he was so tight, and his back at like 18 was hurting. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, it's my hamstrings and everything. And he went to go see my business partner, Dr. Zach Long, for, some PT. And Zach was like, bro, you got to work on this shit, And he, every day that he CrossFit, stays after 15 minutes and does all the stretches that he's given. And guess what? That kid's overhead squatting now, like probably like 115, 125 easy. Probably more. He's probably like, Mom, it's more than that. But it does happen. Here's the thing. He started like at 0%, where most people might start at 40% of their limberness. So it's going to take Harris a lifetime journey, my oldest. It'll be a lifetime journey for him.
Could he ever do the splits, you think?
So
what do you have to do? Do you have to tear something? Joking, not joking. You know what I mean? Like, do you have to like?
You do. You have to stretch the ligaments and tendons so gently, but yes. Like, I don't know the anatomy of it, but growing up, we had like our coaches, like literally, we would be our feet on a mat, and then our coaches pressing us down to hyper, like over splits is what they call it. And I'm sure it was, tearing fibers to loosen yourself. Will Harris ever get a split? No, because that's not his goal. Has he gotten more limber? Yes. So I would never say there's nothing achievable. I'm just going to say, don't put a timeline on it. Like, I get people texting me like, hey, how long will it take me if I do your first pull-up program to get my first strict pull-up? I'm like, I can't put a timeline on it. It depends, one, where are you starting from? Are you starting from 0% or are you starting from 40%? And how much effort are you putting into the program every day? So I don't like to put timelines on things. I like to say, work towards it. See where you go. Like, I'm working on this gymnastics skill called a mana. It's basically a V-sit, but you turn your back parallel to the ground.
I'd pull it up, but my keyboard stopped working. I'm very sorry.
Oh, that's
I'm
okay.
completely neutered.
No, it's terrible.
I'm half the man I used to be. When the show started, I was a complete man.
You were. See what I do to you. So this mana skill, you know, may be unachievable fully to me, but what if I went into training and be like, I'm never gonna get it. Then what's the purpose of me training it, you know? So yeah, I train it hard, and I don't know, maybe I will, maybe I won't, but like my ultimate goal isn't the final skill. My ultimate goal is getting closer. If I get the skill, fuck, great, you know?
Okay, I hear you. Is this it right here?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, my keyboard started working again after banging on it so much.
Nice.
Okay.
Isn't that a beautiful skill?
Yeah.
I can swing into it. I have a picture, I think, on my Instagram somewhere of me. So I was on P-bars and I swung into it, and I like had a photographer there, and she took a picture of it. I don't know. It might be on one of the, it's probably close up. Yep, right there. That mana training. Yeah, if you click on that, that was me just
this or this.
Nope, go to the
Blue?
right.
Sorry, where it says mana training.
Yeah. So these are the drills that I do to open my shoulder angle up, and then hold on, wait. This one is an assisted mana. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, it's crazy. How tall are you?
I'm 5'2.5".
Oh yeah. And how much do you weigh?
I teeter between like 120 and 125.
Oh wow. Good on you.
When I was training for the games, I was like 130. I was close to 130.
Do you like being lighter or heavier?
No, this is my natural body type. I like being lighter.
I like being really light too. I don't understand. You know what's interesting? My friend Andrew Hiller got on steroids, and he really wanted to get big and strong, and now he's been off now he wants to see what it's like. He's trying to figure out he's trying to experiment on himself so he can look at people and be like, okay, these people were on steroids. This is what they look like. And then this is what they look like when they're cycling off. So like he could judge people more.
Yeah. and he's good at that.
Yeah. And basically what he told me, which was kind of incredible, is he really is enjoying being smaller. He thought he was going to enjoy being bigger. He didn't enjoy it. And recently I just talked to a guy who's like a professional bodybuilder, and he says it basically fucking sucks. He says he's lost all his athleticism. I mean, this guy's massive. He's 250 and just shredded. Like he's on all the crazy steroids, like the ones that make you paranoid and freak out and shit. But basically these people are like, I think everyone feels better when you are so fucking lean. It's crazy. Are you a petite human?
I'm a petite human. Yeah.
But you're also, that's thick for a petite human, 120. Like that's a lot of, another woman who is petite, who is 5 foot would be 5'2", might be 105 pounds. You have like 15 pounds of still muscle on you that a normal human doesn't have.
I never want to feel like weak. Like I love feeling strong, I think mentally and physically. So like, I love help, but I also love like knowing I got this. Like, you know, if I'm going gravel biking and I need to like, you know, pick my bike up and travel like over the ravine, and then I got my backpack and I got this. And then if like somebody wants to help me, great. But I don't want to have to ever feel weak in physicality, because to me that's mental weakness in my mind. For me.
Yeah. I agree. I think it is. I think it does lead to mental weakness. But here's like a great example: crazy, strong, controlled, powerful, explosive, and yet still like able to get in all the weird positions.
Thanks. Yeah, that was last month with my amazing friend from Baugh Media. I love him. He's the shit.
As they say, yeah. That's good. That's filmmakers want to be called that. That's a good compliment. The shit.
But yeah, so my body type, like if you looked at me growing up, like as a gymnast and stuff, it is muscular but lean. But for now, like, okay, when I was competing at the games,
like you you don't eat very much, right?
I don't. That's so funny. I love that picture of me as a kid, in the split. It's so 80s, right?
Yeah, it's so awesome.
I don't eat.
I bet you my wife has that same picture, little Jewish girl.
Was she a
I bet
gymnast?
she was an ice skater.
Oh, that was
She
my
ice
dream.
skated like hardcore until she was 12, and her body still like carries all of that. Like from her basically ass down, it's just ice skater muscles. The ass, the calves, the quads, the hamstrings. It's crazy. Never went away.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. My dream as a kid was to be an ice skater, actually.
Yeah.
More. But my mom was like, ice time's like 4 a.m. Fuck that. She was not a morning person. So yeah, but when I was training for the games, you have to lift heavy a lot. And people are like, oh, lifting heavy will make you bulky. It's not lifting heavy will make you bulky. When you lift, you burn a lot of calories, so you're hungrier. So I ate a lot more because I was training 2.5 hours a day and lifting a lot of weight. But I would have not been able to make the games if I couldn't lift that weight. And I was also still able to do the gymnastics stuff too. But like now I want to be strong, but I don't need to be like maxing out because my goal is not the games.
You said you're 49?
Yeah.
What any milestones like that you could share with us? Like for me, when up until I was about 37, I didn't have to warm up, and then at 37, I realized
I got a motorcyclist by my backyard. Yeah, go ahead.
around 37, like I noticed I'm like, woo, like if I want to do what I used to do when I was 25, at 37, I have to have a whole pre-workout. I have to be completely drenched. And now at 51, it's like the difference between me, like if I have to go down into a skate park, into a big bowl, like a 10-foot bowl, like if I'm not warmed up and I do that, I move just like an old man. You're like all panicky and shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like,
yes.
But then when I'm warmed up, it goes away. And it's really just because when I'm warmed up, I'm okay if I fall. Like I would just roll. It doesn't even matter. I'm not even thinking about it. Doesn't even care. I don't even care. Do you have any like ages where you think, okay, this happened, just some rough,
So I have this reputation at my gym that I walk in, do 2 leg swings, and I'm like, let's fucking go, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm
probably because you're so lean too. You can probably push that away. I'm 100. Walk around at 160, 165, but I could be a 135-pound man. Like I could literally probably live. Yeah, I probably shouldn't say this out loud. It's gonna freak people out. I could probably live on 1,100 calories a day, and I probably eat 3,500. You know what I mean? So it's like, I bet you that's why you can still do that because you eat so little.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, you would think I would warm up a lot more. Also, what's crazy is my background as a gymnast. We spent like a half hour, the first like 30, 40 minutes of a 3-hour practice every day, warming up and conditioning. But like, and then we'd stretch at the end. We'd usually do that at the end, but, and condition again. But like, we didn't just jump on and start like tricks and routines, you know, skills. So you'd think I'd be a lot better at warming up, but if it's not written down, I'm not doing it. So, wow. So I need somebody to tell me what to do, and I think that's a little bit of my background of a gymnast too. Like when you are, you know, grow up as a gymnast, you walk into the gym and everything is laid out for you. You don't have to think at all. You are told how many sets, how many reps, what conditioning, and you just work. You're like a workhorse, you know. And so for me, if I don't go in and I follow exactly what's on the board that has the warm up, that has all this, then I just am like, all right, let's just do the workout, you know.
So you feel like how you did when you were 40. You're not aging because you have no inflammation and you don't eat.
I do eat. I eat very, very clean, but I do eat ice cream, and Lenny and Larry's cookies are like my fucking favorite. And sorry, I swear a lot. I gotta tone that down.
I've been trying not. I normally swear more, but you're on here. I feel like you have a certain air about you that makes me not want to swear around you.
Oh, thanks. I do. It's terrible. It's a terrible habit. Okay, so I do eat, but very clean.
And small portions. You're a small portion. You eat small portions.
I eat all day small portions. Every 2-3 hours. But like, I eat a lot of egg whites on like rye bread or rice, or like mix it with oatmeal. I eat very little fat. I don't do well with fat. So I eat very little of it.
So protein and carbs.
Protein and carbs. My fat, I get like, I'll put butter on the pan. But I don't eat, I don't like cheese. Like cheese just tears me up. I don't eat avocado because I don't know. I just do better on a very low fat diet.
Hey, do you think your eyes say something about you?
Yes, I think a lot of people's eyes tell me a lot about them. What
do your eyes tell you about you?
For me,
You don't have to be humble at all. I just want to hear it. Just what do your eyes tell you about you? Like when you see your eyes, you're like, oh, yep.
I see depth.
Mm.
Like my brown eyes are almost like clear brown. So when I look in the mirror, I see like the depth of me as a human.
How about just the superficial, the shape of them and how big they are? Yeah. Do they tell you anything?
Oh no, I've never really thought about that.
Yeah, you got big old eyeballs. I think you're just I feel like this is so fucking Liver King. Like if you eat balls, you'll have healthy balls. But I think I think you're taking in a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just you're just taking it. Yeah, you're in your eyes say it. Your eyes are like, yep, this person's taking in a lot. Like this person's watching what the fuck's going on. Like you're awake. You're on. You have a lot going on out here. Like you're paying attention. You know what I mean? Like an animal that cares about what's going on outside.
Yeah. You know what's so crazy that you said that? Listen to how crazy this is. So every gym I've been to, this, like, you know how you have like a seat at the table with your family and like that's your seat. So at the gym, I have a spot. And my spot is in the back
What's
corner.
The name of your gym? What's the name of your gym?
CrossFit Weddington.
Okay.
And I have a spot in the back corner where I'm away from everybody, but I observe the whole gym. And I face, everybody faces like parallel to the garage door, and I face perpendicular because I'm in the corner, and I just observe. And I am an observer, but I like to be, I like that spot because I feel like protected. I know that sounds ridiculous.
No. I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I totally need to be in that spot too.
Like
when I protected in my spot. When I go into a restaurant, if I give someone the more protected spot, like I'll let Greg get the more protected spot most of the time, and that's like huge deferential to me. That's like me like bowing my head to you, but I need the protected spot too. I like the protected spot.
Yeah, when I work out in the middle of the gym where the most people do, I feel so exposed, and I don't know, I can't even put into words what feels exposed, but there's so much comfort in that corner spot. And it's so funny, like, you know, that you look like that you made that observation, and this is how I live my life, you know?
Well, everyone sees it, just most people don't say that. There's two things going on with me. One, I'm paying attention to what I'm thinking about. I pay attention a lot to what's going on the inside, like a lot. But most people have no idea what the fuck's going on the inside, like at all. That's why they do weird shit, right? I mean, you want to get me started on tattoos and piercings, but that's because they're not paying attention to what's going on the inside. And then the next thing is, and they're trying to put it on the outside because that's where they want to pay attention to it too. So they're taking their inside shit and trying to push it out so that they can see it on the outside because they don't want to pay attention to it on the inside. Get too much ownership. But then the other thing is that other people, and this just comes with being old, once you start paying attention to the inside, you just start saying it. And so like I know there's something going on. Like there's some, like someone really wise could look at you and be like, figure you out like in 2 seconds. Like, you know what I mean? Like your being is like there, right there. I don't know what it is, but I know that like you're not hiding it. Whatever it is you're sharing with the world or you're taking from the world, you're not hiding it. Anyway, I didn't mean to make it. Yeah.
I like that about myself. I am very.
Oh, it's so good. It's disarming. It probably was one of the things that makes you a good teacher.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you. I felt like this was a good discussion of the superficial to like, hey, can you help a kid stretch who's tight to just life in general and the journey people take. I didn't get to any of my notes. I hope our paths cross again. I really like you from afar, and I'd like you even more in person. So that's kind of weird.
Thank you.
Like, yeah.
I feel the same way. Like, we have crossed paths, but without really ever knowing each other.
Yeah.
And I love getting to know someone on a deeper level. And I didn't know what to expect, like, from our conversations. And I love that we talked about all the things deep and emotional, but also added some
practical shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you're fun to talk to and very insightful man. So thank you. You're so talented. I was very lucky to watch you, through the CrossFit years as well too with your talent. And I'm really grateful you continued with that yourself. Keep it up.
Cool. Thank you.
Let's do this again.
Yeah, let's do it again. Totally. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I would keep going too. I'm going to take the kids to the skate park. It's my Thursday morning routine. My youngest son broke his shin. It's crazy. And so
I know.
I'm a little unsettled during this whole podcast because I kind of want to get back inside and check on him.
Yeah. I was going to say, and I do hope your son heals well and quickly.
He will.
Yeah. He seems like he's got a good support system over there. So go take care of him. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great time at the skate park, and we'll cross paths soon, I know.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing all your insights. I appreciate it.
You got it. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye. Pamela. Woo! Powerhouse. Holy shit. Now, just listen to Pamela. Hey, powerhouse. Holy shit. I kind of I'm a little tingly. It's different than I need a cigarette. I'm a little tingly from talking to her. Holy shit, that was crazy. Yeah, super hot too. That's probably, and I had to block that out though. I block out almost all the girls I talk to. I have to block out what they look like. I can't do it. Just can't do it. Man, powerhouse though. What a cool human being. I'm so curious to meet her sons. What happens when you have a mom like that? I'm not aroused. No, not aroused. Thank you for throwing that in the chat though. Appreciate it. I'm tingly. That was cool. It was real. It was fun. And I'm pretty intense this morning because of the situation my kid's in. All right, I'm gonna run back inside the house. Take two of my boys to skating. Love on my one that has the busted shin. Man, a busted shin is gnarly. I was there when he broke it. Fuck. I'll tell you guys about it on the next live call-in show. Yeah. Let's get some surfers on the show. You know who I had? I had that famous CrossFit surfer dude, the one who has like the three brothers. I had him on the line. I'll start bugging him again. He said, I saw it happen. I think his shin hit the concrete and folded all fucked up. He says the skateboard hit it. He's only 6. What's crazy, he had landed a 50-50 and he was debating on whether to just come back in. I think it's called an axle stall. And then when you do it and you grind and you come back in, it's a 50-50. And he went back in and I watched it and he landed it for a second and then the board slipped out from underneath him. Oh God, it was brutal. I think it's going to set my wife back more than me. All right. Love you guys. It's a Friday night. Tonight, Friday night. John Young, Mike Halpin, Taylor Self. There's someone else. I don't know who. Caleb and Souza will be lurking. Let me see. No, not that. We talking about the Rogue Invitational. Oh, Pedro. Holy shit, Pedro will be here. No Hiller. We can't have Hiller on those shows. He's too big time. He'll steal the whole fucking show. You can't have Hiller. You got to use. You got to be very smart how you let Hiller in and out. Too big time. He's too big time. Steal the whole fucking show. Okay. My keyboard stopped working again. And don't anyone be like, Sevan said he's going to steal the whole show. I can't believe. I'm just joking. It doesn't matter if he steals the show or not. It's just the CrossFit Games update show is more. It's more dorky than Hiller. Hiller needs his own. He does need his own show when he's on. I mean, he can be on those shows too, but those shows are nice to have a different cast of characters than the Batman. I think I have asked him. If I have asked him, it was a long time ago. I could bug him again. I think he'd be a great guest too. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Hopefully the throttling goes away. The numbers seem almost normal now, 194. But the last two shows have been just fuck, man. I can't remember the last time we didn't get 1,000 people. All right. Love you too, Audrey. Bye-bye.